on, YouTube? How are we doing? Let me get set up here. Just give me a minute. Hope everybody's getting settled in and ready to roll for a brand new day. This is out of control. What can I predict though? Hey, it's time to get this party rock and rolling. At least I got my brain. At least I got my wit. Watch me going overseas, the compass slip. I mean, I got it twisted, it's some kind of sick. Shocking in and never miss, girl. Yeah, you know the things ain't easy. Try to believe me, yes, I want the real thing. Oh, girl, I want the real thing, baby, and this is out of control. What can I forget it go? Damn, what can I forget it go? Check. 1 second. Let me change this microphone up. Out of control. What can I forget it go? Damn, what can I forget it go? This is out of control. What can I forget it go? Check. You should be able to hear me a little better here. Got my new microphone set up. Can I ever get it go? Damn, what can I ever get it go? I think we got it. What is going on, team? How are we doing? I think I got the right microphone set up now. If everyone can hear me correctly, let's hear it. I got my little chat box over here. Let's get it. All right, so what is going on, everybody? Nice to be here for a new day of trading, what I like to call Tag a Bag Tuesday. We have a lot of stuff moving this morning, and one of them is a stock that we're in overnight that we made some money off of the morning. There is no better way to start any morning with some money, so we're going to start with the stock that we were in overnight. But how is everybody doing today? What's going on? Is anybody still in RR from the crew? Anybody still in RR? Somebody's got to still be in RR. Come on. Very nice move. And honestly, I think we are going to get a push at the bell. But if you are in it, you got a nice little 10% move overnight. And I always love starting the day with 10% plus in the bag. So if you guys are new here, what is going on? My name is Sniper Mike, a.k.a. Maverick Mike. I actually am the founder of the Stock Mavericks in Simpler Trading. So simplertrading.com. I have my own room called Stock Mavericks Mastery. Every single day, I look to day trade, meaning I buy stocks usually late in the day, and I sell them early in the morning. So I'm usually, I'd say, a swing trader, but technically I would list myself as a day trader. And this was the first example that I can go right into, which is awesome because it's a live example. It's actually what we were in overnight yesterday. And I decided to buy RR yesterday at the end of the day. Why did I buy it? I don't buy RR because I like it. Yes, it is a robotic stock. And yes, it is a pretty cool company. If you guys do look at RR, what they're doing, I got to just show you really quick. But I don't fall in love with these companies I trade. But RR Robotics is one that I think we should actually check out because it's pretty cool to look at. The robotic bartender, they call him. I think he's in Vegas. I actually was in Vegas last month. I had the chance to visit him, and I didn't. I'm a little upset. He has a name, Adam. His name's Adam. He's the humanoid robot, ADAM. Pretty cool stuff here. Look at that bad boy. Maybe he'll be at your next wedding if you get married in a year or two. You might be able to book Adam for cheap. Look, he's at the Rangers game. So randomly, this is a stock that we do know of. Every once in a while, we'll play a stock we don't know at all, but RR and Atom, we are a fan of, and now we're a better fan of it with the gap up. But at the end of the day, I'm not buying it because the Atom robot. I'm buying it because it's lining up with a pattern of mine that I've known consistently made me profit over and over and over again in the past 8 years. And that's all I'm looking to do. I'm here to just make money and hopefully share the wealth with others. And usually the more money you have, the more you can make, especially in times like these. So let's dive in and let's show you what I mean. RR. If you look at the 1 year chart, which I always like to zoom out to the 1 year, 1 day chart, which means what does it look like on the long-term chart? It looks like it's trending up, and I call this day a first green day. So if I zoom into that first green day, risk. So what I did there was I just moved from the yearly chart to the daily chart. And in the daily chart, I had to find my risk. Well, there's two different actually patterns that are lining up of mine. So when I only have trade 5 patterns, and to tell you the truth, 2 of them are really my go-to. But these both are lining up at once, which is a first green day and multi-month breakout. And that is holding a clear spot of 235, which was the breakout. If I zoom into this, a healthy stock, in my opinion, breaks out and then holds that breakout. And that's exactly what this did. It came right back to 235, but never broke that. We kept adding at the end of the day, and we ended up with a 239 average getting into the close. So really nice average. And at the end of the afternoon, because this is a listed stock, it actually closed up a couple cents. So we had a small cushion, and that's usually all I ask for. I try to say, can we be up a couple cents to give us some cushion? Because if you have some cushion, it gives you the ability to not lose as much when the stock's pushed down. So now that the stock, we have a little bit of cushion, we feel good overnight, and that next morning it follows up peer perfectly. We ended up selling pretty early right around here, but still you can end up with another 5% or so in profit. Either way, that's 10% overnight, and rinse and repeat that on your account. And that's a great way to grow any size account, small or large. But the more money you have, the better. Because another one that we found was GoPro that squeezed from 150 to 185. It's down now, but I wouldn't still be holding it. If you got a 20% push overnight, I always say you got to grab that. Instead of talking about overnight stuff, because we got 3 minutes till the bell, let's talk about some stuff that we're looking at right now. This is another one that actually worked out beautifully overnight, IXHL. We were watching it yesterday. It got the late day dip, which is a little risky, but still beautiful push. But let's start talking about today, because look at this beauty. We got Tilray with a nice squeeze. Cannabis stocks are on the run. And we also have some OTC stocks that I want to bring up. So I got a watch list that I create every single morning in my Stock Mavericks Mastery. If you aren't, a member, you can always join. I think it's a $7 trial right now. But we got some great stuff on the morning watch list this morning. And I do think there's possibility to add more to our profit that we've already made. So let me just show you what I'm looking at before the bell hits off. Usually I do this at 9:15, 9:20, but had to get everything set up here this morning. All right. So if you check out the note section in the Mavericks Mastery, you'll be able to see every morning I create a morning watch. We've already dealt with. We've already made some money. If you don't take the 10%, you could still hold it, but I would stick with the cut of 235 no matter what. The other ones that I got, DTREF, this is an OTC stock we'll be watching. It's a brand new stock that knows how to gap up, and it's coming to all-time highs. 20 cents is all-time highs. If it breaks that, we would just try to see if we could run. This is a higher commission stock, meaning you pay a little more when you buy it. So you do have to go a little larger size when you do this. But we know it knows how to run, and you can see in the past, we've seen it. We've actually played it on these gap up days, a couple of them. So we'll be eyeing that down. We got ATAI and MBOT as shorts, but I'm going to go over those after because the bell's about to happen. First, I want to show you the cannabis stocks because cannabis has been getting a little interesting the past 2 months, or I guess month. At the start of August, we got a big gap up because Trump said he might decriminalize cannabis to Schedule 3 drug from Schedule 1. Now we're coming back to multi-month highs, which is a key level in MSOS, which is an ETF. So MSOS is what I really want to watch to start the day. And if this is able to break 540, I think we'll get some cannabis runners. And I like VRNOF to break out, CRLBF, which I don't, that one actually already did, I just realized. And then TCNNF. So we got a couple with listed. If you love listed, Tilray's gapping up very nicely. CGC is another one. ACB is another one we like to watch. And they're all kind of getting a nice little gapper here. But let's see what we get at the bell. I want to attack towards our morning watch list. I do want to watch RR just to see how it handles itself in the morning too. Either way, good sell. Always nice to start the morning with some profit. And usually 80, I would say 80 to 70% of my buys come from late in the day, meaning I like to buy usually from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern, and then I like to sell that next morning. And look, we got some gappers across the board. So OPAD was on the overnight watch list, up 15%, and it actually squeezed a lot more. If you were watching it after hours yesterday, it hit the 5s, OPAD. So right now, I'm just going to show you exactly an example of some great opportunities from yesterday. So the overnight watch list, RR, great follow-up. GoPro, followed up. DTREF, we'll see. OPAD and Tilray followed up beautifully. So almost went 5 for 5 on the overnight watch list, with all of them almost 10% plus. GoPro's down now, but you did have a chance to sell it up 20% plus yesterday after hours. RR, you had the chance to sell from the dip up into the 260s, 10% plus. We had OPAD, which this one really squeezed. You could have made 25% plus overnight. And then Tilray, great 10% mover, which it popped even more. And then let's watch the one we're going to watch this morning, DTREF. So it tried to gap, but it didn't. But this is a good start. I'm going to keep eyes on it. It has big sellers. As an OTC stock, you always like to eye down big sellers, big buyers. So we'll just keep an eye on it. It's not going to be our main watcher as of right now, especially with the ugly start. RR, nice work tagging the bag when we had it. So that's what I'm talking about. I always like to say, if you overnight, I'm usually looking for 10% plus. That's exactly what we got. You got to take that. Can't be too greedy. Thar was a huge runner just recently. I know a lot of people are trying to short that. You can see right at the open, it's getting halted on the way down. First minute, THAR. With MSOS pushing down right at the bell, that's not good sign for cannabis. I didn't do it right this morning, but I always like to scan the QQQs and SPYs. Well, I didn't do it with you guys, but I checked it out myself. They're both about break even. The one thing that's really been damaging, the one sector that seems like it's sinking, is BTC. I mean, Ethereum has completely ripped, but Bitcoin is cooling off. It's actually dropped below 110K last night, which it will. I bet you it caught a lot of people. And I always talk about my breakout pattern. I brought it up with RR, but a breakout needs to hold the breakout. And this instantly came back down. That's heavy weakness. So you can use the patterns on any type of, technical analysis. It's really just technical analysis of what I'm trying to show people, because all these trades that I do are really based off of other people's emotions. The patterns that I create are based off of other emotions, and because I don't create them, other people's emotions do. So if you have emotions, then, I mean, every human does, then you're going to go through the cycles. And until you actually get fully educated by them, then it's harder to really understand what I'm coming from. A perfect example of that is, you have those mind readers out there. Have you guys ever seen one of those mind readers? It's unbelievable. They can do some crazy stuff. Oz is like the really big one right now. He's like gone on Joe Rogan and guessed his PIN code. He went on Joe Rogan and guessed his PIN code, and Joe Rogan thought that he lied and thought that he called the bank and stuff. But he's been with like Joe Burrow. He had Joe Burrow on and he he made him guess who he was going to throw the football to, and he guessed it before he threw the football to him. Like, he made all the wide receivers stand up. And the crazy part about it was he just says that every human has that ability, and you just have to learn it. It's just all about studying and a lot of time and effort. And that's way more in time and effort than you probably need for the stock market, which is a skill that could make you a lot of money, even though Oz has done pretty well. But pretty cool stuff as we're talking about mentalists. I actually got to meet one live and in person, and I keep his coin right next to my desk. This is a beautiful coin. It's actually bent in half. His name's Mike Mooney. He was a great mentalist. He was the first one I saw actually live in person. It was a small party that I got to experience him, and I'm so blessed to be able to experience it because it showed me that. And that's the same thing with this in the market. Until you know the ability and know about this, you're not going to really understand too much. So here we go. DTREF's trying to make a move. It's an interesting one because we'd have to use 18 cents as cut. So I'm not jumping the gun yet, but it definitely is one that we got to keep our eyes on early in the watch list. And usually if that creates that green day and breaks 20, it should be able to go. So I am going to watch this here. Keep close eyes on this possible breakout here in DTREF. The problem is the commissions is a little more, so you can't really size into this. You got to be more about smacking it, which is, that's always the goal when it comes to these. You want to try to get the lowest spot, but when you're trying to go after something like that, you kind of have to smack it because, and what I mean by smack it is take the bid or the ask is with the higher commissions. If you're smaller size, if you're not smaller size, you can do whatever you want with it, which is great. But we'll keep our eyes on it. I'll put some alerts. One of my favorite things to do is set some alerts up. So I'll be alerted if this does break out. But I also have it on my phone. One stock I didn't put on my morning watch list that I just got alerted for, talking about alerts, is HGREF. And this one was a panic dip buy we actually caught perfectly last week. It bounced from $1 all the way back to 140, but we caught $1 to 117. So now if it panics more, I would say the first spot we look for is 90 cents. And then we're going to see what happens if it gets closer to 80. But what we look for when it comes to a panic dip buy is a large drop in a short amount of time. So I don't know if 90 cents is going to be good enough for this one. We might have to drop even farther. Because if you look at these, that's what this is, a large drop in a short amount of time. It dropped from $2.70 to $1 in 2 days, and we look to scoop it. So this definitely has that ability. It looks like it's selling off, but we'll see what it's able to do there. One stock I do want to talk about this morning, and I think it's important to bring up, especially if we're talking day trading, is OPEN. OPEN is the meme stock runner. People call it the meme stock because Wall Street Bets has been talking about it forever. But I'm praying that we consolidate above 450 for another day. If we do, I think we might be able to squeeze some more. And if we squeeze some more, it's going to bring a lot more runners out of the bag. OPAD was one yesterday that came a sympathy play from open, spiked from $2 all the way to 450, so 100% spike overnight. And that was one on our overnight watch list, continuing to spike right now. But still a huge runner just because of open's ability to be able to spike. So that's always nice to see. Maybe it brings out more sympathy plays if open continues. So I'm keeping my eyes without a doubt on OPEN this morning. And other ones that ran with OPEN was GoPro. And that's why yesterday I decided to put it on the overnight watch list, is because the last time it had a huge volume day, which yesterday it had a really big volume day, was the day before it had the huge gap up to 230. Unfortunately, this one didn't gap up, but it did push after hours. So you did have a chance to take some money if you wanted. But this is definitely a watcher as well with open, as open holds. This holds 150. Another one that I like to keep an eye on when it comes to open, KSS, which is funny. It's Kohl's. So we're getting into companies we actually know about now. Kohl's is a former squeezer. KSS, when those ones bumped, you can see coming back to 721 to 722. So another one that we're keeping an eye on, American Eagle, which people think Sydney Sweeney was the reason why this thing popped, but it really was a part of also the meme mania. That was kind of the meme mania, I guess they call it. But so let's see. Open spiking. And if I put it side by side, look at this. If you put it side by side with OPAD, they're both spiking together. So let's hope this is alive. This is not really a play of mine as of right now, but I think it's developing to become one. I just wanted to bring up some of these meme stocks that definitely are good ones to eye down. Another one would be Donut, DNUT. This had a huge run when GoPro did, and this is actually Krispy Kreme donut, not Dunkin' Donuts. I always get them confused. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'll finish off this morning watch list. I like to start looking around, trying to see if there's possibilities. I like to coin myself a sniper because what a sniper does is he has to really put in work and effort before he finds his prey. A loose cannon shooter will just go out and just start shooting, which I don't like to talk guns at all. I'm not a gun guy. But if you do think about it, a sniper does go in the woods. He digs up in the dirt. He gets dirty. There's a lot of effort that goes into him before he actually puts into that snipe. And that's how I like to think of myself as a trader. So that's why me, my twin brother, my good friend coined ourselves that in 2017. And I still kind of run with it, which I love because this is the dirty work you have to do at first. So right now we're going to go through the morning watch list right now. And we're going to see, are there other opportunities out there for either this morning? But if not this morning, do we have to dig down in the dirt and start looking for the gap up like we found yesterday? RR 10%. We've already made some money overnight, and obviously you want to keep making money, but at first you have to think the job's done. You want to keep making money, but anybody that goes to the casino knows that the longer you stay in the casino, the more you lose money. And unfortunately, the stock market's the same way. It's not the casino, but there's flashing lights in front of your face constantly that's moving up and down. And those bring out emotions like the casino where you can just press buttons all day. So sometimes it's important where I say less is more. We made some money. We might have not capitalized the best. We probably could have sold a little higher, but at the end of the day, we made some money. And that's really where you want to reward yourself. Thor is still halted, which is interesting. This DTREF I want to keep pulled up, but it did dip. But we'll keep it pulled up. Let's go down the morning watch list now. So the rest of my morning watch list, I'll do it together. Let's do it. Next Tuesday, I'll make sure to get here a little earlier. And what's great is next Tuesday is going to be our first day of the week together because we got Labor Day weekend over the weekend. So next Tuesday, you guys are going to get a week. If you want to come join me on live trading, you can actually experience the start of a week and what usually I'm looking for day in and day out throughout the start and the process of that. But let's keep going down this morning watch list. Let's finish it off. And how I'm going to finish it off was, we'll just go down it again. DTREF, which is still holding. It also made that highs and it tipped highs. The volume's already at $1 million, which is good to see. It's not comparable to yesterday, but it is comparable to the days before already, which is nice. That means there's definitely volume going in and out of this stock. It's just a penny stock OTC, and if you're not familiar with these, this will help you out a little bit. ATAI is another one. I recommend to short this. I don't have a lot of shorting patterns, but I do short stocks, which means you could bet on it to go down. And those short patterns would be after the stock makes multiple green days, which you can see here. We've spiked now from 390 up to 530. I want it to go higher, but we'll see what happens there. Then we got MBOT, which is another short one. Interesting one there. But both of these I want bigger pops, so I'm not gonna go after them. You know, they're not my target unless they do what I'm looking for them to do. KSS. That was the meme one. And that is only if open really gets going. Which it is starting up pretty nicely. So we do want to keep an eye. Open and OPAD. If this could get back above 5, which was the rejection spot before, it might be able to get some squeezers. And that's what we're here to take advantage of. And then the last one was those cannabis stocks, and MSOS actually came down at the bell. It's holding, but it looked like it was going to try to break. It looks like it might need another consolidation day. Usually with cannabis, it doesn't happen unless it really gets news or good volume. And there's not a lot of volume at all, and there's no news. So both those things aren't happening. Open's getting to 5, so let's keep an eye on open, which could bring definitely some momentum into others. But this is a key resistance level. No entries or anything there. If anything, DTRAF still looking creepy. It's still kind of tip-topping. I think I like DTREF here. Let's see if we can hold this 19. It just had some big sellers there. Has a big buyer at 189, but those buyers are been stacking up. So let's see if we can get a push here. I want to see it hold 19. But it's definitely a holder and one that we got to keep our eyes on. I mean, already 1.3 million in volume now. Which the higher the volume, the better. I think I'm going to go after it, guys. We'll try something here this morning together. So with this, you have to smack the bid and just see what happens. All right, it gave us a little lower than the bid right there. So 915. All right, let's see. Let's see if this could break. You want to see it break. If it can't break, then it becomes, morning plays I'm usually a little more quicker with compared to the afternoon plays. But this one does have, 185 cut, 185 hold as of right now. DTREF is the ticker that we got pulled up right here. DTREF. Wait, let's see if we can get the push. It's a slower mover for sure. And if it pushes down, it's probably going to push pretty hard. So I'm trying to play this more off of momentum, which means I just want to see it flow. Once the flow stops, will make me a lot more nervous, especially if it happens here at highs. But we're going to stick to plan no matter what. And this was something that we had on the morning watch list from the beginning. I actually had it yesterday on the overnight watch list, but decided not to go over it then, which is another reason what makes me a bit more hesitant. Not as heavy size because of that. But you are paying more in commissions with this too, so you do have to be a lot more aware about that. You know, usually commissions, I've got it down pretty cheap now. Shout out Charles Schwab, but I've got it down to $350 for OTC stocks. This one's I think $50, and I don't think you can negotiate it. So another thing I want to do later on in the session, before we finish out, because we got about 25 more minutes, is I want to show you what I do usually on Monday mornings, because Monday mornings is technically going to be next week on YouTube Live, because I like to review my weekly watchers, which is a list of stocks that I look to possibly make money on overnight. I mean, that week. And we actually had a lot of opportunity this week. So I'll go over that in a second. But let's see if we can break out here. We're going towards 20, guys. Here we go. Here's 20 coming up. 20 is the big spot. Bing, bada, boom. Can we break here? If it doesn't break here, it's not the best sign, but we'll see. Showed some strength. Surprised it didn't. Looks like we have a big seller lining up. Should never love that. Yeah, no, it's not worth it if you're putting smaller size, but definitely if you got some size and you're ready to roll with it. I probably should have put more in, to tell you the truth, just because of that. But it didn't break yet, and usually with the breakout, you want to see a pretty nice clean break. So let's see if it's able to do it, or we're gonna top out here. For me, I like to divide my days into two. The first half is usually 9:15. Well, I start early in the morning, 7 a.m., and then I usually drift until 10:30, close to 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern, and then from then I take a midday break. So I usually say the first half of the day and the second half of the day. Why I do that? Because the casino aspect that I was just talking about, sitting in front of the screens all day does make it easier to give money back. And you got to know your personality. I have a little more gambling personality, but I still do like to be in front of the screen. So there are times that I do it. Don't say it. It's not like I don't, I do love it. And if the market's hot, there's no way I'm leaving. But usually the second half of the day, I come back at 2:30 and we start right around 2, I'd say, to 4 p.m. Eastern is my second half of the day. So as this gets closer to 11, 10:30, it's actually the less I like it. So we'll see if we can break here. If we can't, the closer we get towards midday, the more, like I said, I won't like it. But it looks like we're getting closer to 20, and if it does break above 20, we should be all right. I mean, that is a big spot here. Seems like it's having a hard time. And this is like a metal stock. Metals and the metals are up actually today, which helps this even more. If you look at MP, which is the metals leader, it's getting a big push today. So we'll go over that sector too as well, because I like to try to play where the momentum is. That's kind of what I'd consider myself, a momentum trader. Oh, the big seller came in, so it couldn't break 20, unfortunately. So we'll see how it deals with this little hold up here. But either way, we're going to stick with our cut. We're going to stick to our plan. And remember, as the day gets closer to 10:30, the more I dislike things. But we'll be eyeing it. Okay, so as we continue to eye this down, keep watching it. We have that seller that seems to be dragging things down, so we need to get that thing out of there. All right, so let me start looking at some other opportunities here. MSOS came back down. So as we look at OPEN, it got rejected again at 5, which means that's the longer we're going to consolidate, it looks like. And the longer we consolidate in this spot, the better. Last time it was able to break it, it went to 587, and I think next time it should get higher. So we'll see if that can continue its momentum. We're still watching our DTREF to try to hold up here. It is up to $2 million in volume, dollar volume already, which for an OTC, that's really nice. At least that OTC. EBAT. That one's lining up. All right, so let me scan the field and start looking at some other things because I don't want to just be sitting here focused here. Let's see what else we got here that's moving. So I also, one of my favorite things I love to do in the morning is once, we got what we got and we figured out from the morning watch list if something's working out, not working out, or if we went after it, there's a little bit of couple different scans that I go through. I like to go through a master watch list of mine. Then I go through a scans that I create. And then I like to do an OTC scan. So there's a small group of scans that I go through here throughout the day. So that's what I'll do as I'll continue to watch this. LWLG. Nice spiker today. And maybe a possibility for later. We got the 290, 285 spot here. Breakout technically, even though it's 3 green days in a row. And then we have news today. No news. But it looks like earnings got this spike started. Let's see. As I go down the list, I'll let you know if I find anything else out here. No. It's been a little more selective the past couple of weeks. Just really trying to make sure you don't make too many mistakes in a slower time. Even though Friday was really hot in the QQQ and SPY, before that, the markets were just drifting down for like 6 straight days. And then we got that random, possibility interest rate cut, which wasn't random. It was Jackson Hole. It's a meeting that happens every year. But that was the news we've kind of been waiting for. So after that, it's what's next. So again, we're consolidating. We'll see if we decide to go up and down. The Bitcoin sector has definitely cooled off after that. But Ethereum has continued to push. And both of those sectors are definitely sectors that I love to play when things do hold up. So as I finish my scans here in the morning, there's not too much craziness on the morning watch list, not going to lie. Or on the morning scanners here. Seems to be a little bit of a slower morning here. Not as much popping. Let me get through my new list. If we get into DTREF, it's actually dipping a little more, but it's kind of coming back to where we were getting at it. So we want to see it hold 19185. If it starts to fall below this 19, we definitely will get a little bit iffy, especially because we're getting after 10 o'clock. But this one also could be a really good one later. Like the more it holds, it's usually why I love to play stocks late in the day. Because the longer it holds, the more you really confirm that we have daily support now. And, this is hanging right by that 52-week highs. I just don't want the candle to turn red on me. You never want that if you're a momentum trader. So we'll keep our eyes on it. We still got about 15, 30 minutes till about midway through or what I consider midday. So we'll see if this can battle a little bit. Let me do my last 2 scans here. See if there's anything else I could find. Looks like we're getting some selling pressure, so we might have to just take what we got here. Looks like 19 has a huge buyer there. So 19 seems to be the spot. If it drops below, I'm going to have to get out. But there was a huge buyer that popped in there. But if it drops below that, I'll definitely exit. No need to try any longer. We've tried enough this morning. And we're still green. Don't want to destroy that after the overnight RR move. RR actually had the perfect dip buy opportunity right there, right back to 240. Could have almost got our entry again. And then it came back almost all the way up. So, could have sold and dip bought it again, which would have been a nice situation there. All right, so what I'll show you right now as we continue to scan this is I'll show you tomorrow or next week. Every single week, I like to start off. Oh, you guys are talking about some stocks? I love it. People are bringing up stocks. So let me actually see that one first. KSCP. This is one you were watching. Looking for it to start up there, Andres. Oh, it's a robotics player saying. Yes, there is definitely a robotics sector that I have that I'm watching. And yes, MBOT is also a robotic stock. So maybe the reason why, all these are kind of starting up a little bit. Look at that move in MBOT. It's just pretty dang clean. So yes, the robotic sector is definitely one we got an eye on. I mean, you got Elon Musk just starting up his own Tesla diner, and in that diner, robots, I'm pretty sure, drive to your car or come to your car and deliver to you. So definitely it's a sector that we have to eye down. But this is, if you do on Monday mornings, usually what I love to do, and I do usually do it on Sunday afternoons, but Monday will be Tuesday next week because Monday's off for Labor Day. So I like to go through the weekly watchers. Yesterday, if you were watching it, we had some huge opportunities in the weekly watchers. Tilray gapped up really nicely. CGC did as well. We had open with a huge multi-month breakout play, and we were in it over the weekend, but I actually misjudged it completely. That was our fault. Excuse me there. And then Thar, another one. We said the 412 hold. Look at what happened as it held 412. It squeezed all the way to 9 yesterday. So that was an amazing opportunity. And we'll be doing this next week on Tuesday on the live stream. And then definitely we'll have to do it Tuesday morning all together because Monday, unfortunately, is Labor Day. And I know everyone loves the day off, but sometimes I'm ready to trade. And I'm actually super excited with what the market's been doing and everything. So I am ready. Usually I'm always taking money out of my account, but for the first time, I think I'm adding money to my account. It's going to be nice. All right. And then other ones that we were watching, we had the quantum stocks overnight. Look, DTREF is on there. So I have been watching that since the beginning. And then we also played Diddy, but we misjudged that one too. But another one that we all keep our eye on for a possible bounce. Why I'm watching that is because other China stocks this week, TIGR got a nice squeeze, and you had Alibaba creating a gap up. So if this squeezes back above 126, maybe China's can go. But I always like to review that with almost like, I always like to say it's a cup of coffee to start the morning. Instead of starting the morning with your newspaper, which you could still start your morning with your newspaper, but this is like an add-on to your newspaper. It's like the finance section of your newspaper that really teaches you how to make some money, because that finance section is just going to show you really large stocks. And large stocks are great, not going to lie, but if you have a smaller account, you really can't make too much with large stocks. Because trust me, I tried when I first started trading as well. It worked, but it took forever. So now it looks like we have a big seller in DTREF. So we got a buyer and seller. So we're definitely going to stick to our cut here. And if we have to break even, we'll break even. But you never want to run into a big seller with an OTC stock, which is right there. That also showed up right there. So it's a battle between big seller and big buyer, which is interesting. It's really weird. I don't love that. Don't love that battle, but we'll see who wins. But the fact it's hanging out right around breakout is nice. I just don't love it that seller just popped in. He didn't get eaten yet. He's still there. It also could be a short trying to get out of it short because could be screwed. All right, it's battling. We have a true battle going on. All right, I got one more scan I have to go down before, but there isn't too much out there. Oh, speaking of robotic stuff, these aren't really robotic stocks, but they have their own sector. They're drone stocks, which drone is kind of a robotic stock, right? And we got HOVR and DPro both up this morning, which I would say they're good to watch. Hover usually follows up after a first green day, and that technically is a green day. It had some news yesterday. No, yeah, yesterday. It looks like they're hosting something on September 4th, or they're going to present on something. So if you want to go check it out, you can always check out the presentation. This was another reason why I love the stock market, is because you have apps on your phone all day that like distract you from things, but then you also have the stock market apps, and you can actually like educate yourself through your phone, which is pretty cool. So there are ways to, open up the Thinkorswim app, which I love, go through notes, news of random companies and find out more about them, drone stocks, robot stocks. You could see more cool stuff like I found out about that Atom thing. But sometimes even penny stocks have some cool information. Just I would say don't trust those penny stocks, because you can't trust every penny stock, but you can day trade penny stocks. That's what's beautiful about it. But HOVR, we'll see. Maybe this is a good one for later. I definitely will keep this on my radar 100%. I'm actually going to pull it up right now next to the chart next to me. And then DPro was another drone one, and that one's up too. So is there a coincidence? Probably not. Usually sectors move together. This one actually has military news, commitment to Ukraine, Canada's new commitment. Oh, it says it's position, so it's nothing. It's not news or anything, but it's just pretty much saying they would possibly get a deal. This is the kind of bogus news you read from these companies, but this is what's going on right now in the world, unfortunately, is war, and war causes momentum, unfortunately. I hate that too, but I don't like talking about that either, but there's ways to take advantage of everything. When COVID was happening, there's ways to take advantage of COVID stocks, and companies are ugly, but they do move when that happens. And, I'm not here to tell you that I love these companies. I'm here to show you how to make money off of them. So OPEN, let's get back to where we left off on that meme stock that's coming back. Broke back above 5, so you want to watch that. And then DTREF did get above that seller. So that big seller is gone. Let's see if it could finally break above 20, which this should be the breakout if it does do it. This should be it. But I don't know. It keeps testing that spot. It looked like 20 had a big buyer or a big seller there, so we'll see also if it could break above that. We're getting into the last 2 minutes. I was going to end this live at 10:15, but I'll stay a little later here just because we're in something. Oh my god, another huge seller just showed up. It looks like we're going to battle longer. So this might be a slow, steady battle. Those could also be shorts that are maybe getting caught here. But the fact that they're happening at the ties is annoying. I could take my profit. As we get closer to midday, I will debate it, because I could always get back in this too. But 10:30, I would say, is usually when things get a little more iffy. This is just such a stronger chart when you look at it. Everything's kind of working out. It had the morning dip. It held the morning dip. Then it held higher highs or higher lows. Will it be able to beat these sellers, though, that it's having a hard time with? That would be the next question here. Ooh, another robot stock. As we're on that, it's popping up too. Friggin' iRobot. Good old Will Smith's robot. Coming up at 5% on the day. Oh, that one already created the first green day yesterday. So Will Smith's robot already did that. DTRF looks like it's going to battle a little longer. But keep an eye on it, guys. I'd say that's a really good watcher here. As we're getting closer and closer to midday, you do want to be iffy about it, but the longer it holds the support, the better. And even if we do use the cut that we have, 19, you don't even lose anything, and that's the beauty about getting into these. A lot of people think penny stocks are risky, but if you find the right ones with the right, I always like to call it my big three, and I actually have a YouTube video about that. So if you aren't subscribed to my YouTube yet, definitely make sure to check it out, because that big three video is one I recently came out with. And I talk about the three big things that every stock make me profit. And it's volume. I mean, it's the pattern, which we talked a little bit about, the risk, which we're looking at in the daily chart, and then the volume. And as long as it has those things, it's always worth trying. If you lose, you lose, but then chart it down. And then you go to your charts and you check out, which I have Profitly. And if you don't follow me on Profitly, you can actually see every single one of my trades from all the way back from 2015 charted. And we're reaching close to all-time highs, almost at 500,000 in profit. Pretty excited about that. Should be coming up. I actually haven't updated it in a couple weeks, so I think we're getting really close there. But that's exciting coming up. So if you don't follow us there, you can do that. YouTube and then Instagram, I'm always showing love and posting a lot of great stuff about the stock community and just making money, my life as well. So if you ever wanted to check that out. And then last but not least, the YouTube team. Every single day, I'm live trading with my squad, the Mavericks community and Simpler Trading. Come check us out. $7 to try it out and make some money after if you want. I'll be eyeing down this DTREF, to tell you the truth. It seems like it's going to be more of a grinder. It seems like when it breaks 20, it'll go. But then if it doesn't, it's probably not going to go. So we have to be one or the other. I have to kind of really think here about how I'm going to do this. The closer it gets to midday, also, the more I'm like, So maybe I just take what we have, it would only be like $80 in profit because I have to pay all this commission. But still, something. And I don't want to do that. So I'll probably wait. Either probably going to do 19 or 20 because I just like where we're at here. So keep an eye on it. Check us out in the room if you want. And thank you guys for showing up on the YouTube this morning.